Hello there, you're watching Nightline. I'm Anita Wu. News making the headlines. Tun Dr. Mahathir's visit to Vietnam sets to increase bilateral trade to highest ever. And Perak Exco Paul Yong goes on leave amid rape charge. Our bulletin begins with this story. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamed's three-day official visit to Vietnam starting on Monday is expected to further strengthen relations between Malaysia and Vietnam while opening up opportunities to increase bilateral trade to reach the 62.82 billion ringgit mark next year. This will be an increase of 8.37 billion ringgit as compared to the 55.7 billion ringgit worth of bilateral trade recorded last year.
Malaysian ambassador to Vietnam, Datuk Sharifah Nurhana Said Mustafa, said the official visit was at the invitation of Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc. She said it will be Tun Dr. Mahathir's first official visit to the Socialist Republic after being appointed Prime Minister for the second time in May 2018. The last official visit he had to Vietnam was when he had attended the ASEAN conference in his capacity as Prime Minister in 1998.
Kita ada mensasarkan pada 2020 15 bilion. So nampak figure tu achievable lah. Kan kenaikan dia tak adalah macam melompat sangat. So I think it's achievable, dan dengan adanya lawatan Perdana Menteri Tun Mahathir ke Vietnam ini, selepas ini saya dapat rasakan memang akan ada kenaikan dari segi trade figure tu.
Last year, Malaysian exports to Vietnam were worth a total of 35.51 billion ringgit, while imports from Vietnam totaled 19.98 billion ringgit. Malaysia is Vietnam's 11th biggest trading partner, while Vietnam is Malaysia's 13th biggest trade partner in the world and 4th biggest trade partner in ASEAN after Singapore, Thailand and Indonesia. Tun Dr. Mahathir will be accompanied by his wife, Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali, and they are expected to arrive at about 5:20 p.m. on Monday. On Tuesday, the Prime Minister will be accorded an official welcoming ceremony at the Presidential Palace, followed by a four-eyed meeting with his Vietnamese counterpart. Both leaders are expected to discuss bilateral relations and ways to promote new collaborations in various fields, among them being trade and industry, security, education and agriculture, in addition to regional and global issues. They're also expected to discuss the issue of Vietnamese fishermen encroaching into Malaysian waters. On Wednesday, Tun Dr. Mahathir will visit the Hua Lak High-Tech Park and is slated to give a speech in front of university students on the topic of Malaysia's preparation towards Industrial Revolution 4.0. He will also visit an exhibition of Vietnamese-made cars, namely the VinFast models, Lu SA 2.0, Lux SA Automatic 2.0 and Fadil 1.5. The Prime Minister and his wife will stop by at the Noi Bai Industrial Zone, which is managed by Noi Bai Development Corporation Limited, NBD, a Malaysian-Vietnamese joint venture company comprising Vista Spectrum Sdn Bhd and Urban Infrastructure Development Investment Corporation, UDIC Vietnam.
Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail has advised the people to be more responsible in using social media to ensure that racial harmony in the country is not undermined. She pointed out that the influence of social media in the community could not be denied.
Pengaruh media sosial tidak dapat menafikan masyarakat hendaklah bertanggungjawab. Janganlah buat sia-siakan dengar-dengar itu terus ya. Cek dulu, betul ke tidak. Kita mesti bertanggungjawab menggunakan saluran ini supaya tidak menjejaskan keharmonian negara. Rakyat Malaysia harus menghayati konteks benar rukun negara. Seterusnya mendukung perlembagaan persekutuan bagi mengelak perbalahan antara kaum yang boleh menggugat perpaduan nasional.
She said this when launching the Festival Merdeka #Perpaduan di Hati in Ampang, Selangor on Sunday. Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah also urged all Malaysians to be more mature in assessing situations when faced with threats that could split people's unity. She said noble values like mutual respect and the absence of prejudice should be synonymous with Malaysians. At a separate function, Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah said recent data has revealed an alarming increase of dengue cases, with 83% more cases reported this year compared to 2018. She said the public's lack of concern towards cleanliness has led to the majority of the cases reported.
Speaking at an anti-dengue gotong royong program in Ampang earlier on Sunday, Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah said between January to August 17th, over 85,000 cases were reported, far higher compared to the 38,726 cases reported in the same period last year.
Berapa ramai kan antara kita yang prihatin menjaga kebersihan persekitaran. Tidak perlu terlalu jauh, cuba perhatikan kediaman kita sendirilah ya. Pasti ada yang terlepas pandang, pakai contoh ayam takung pada bekas yang tidak digunakan, bekas tong, kolah, pasu dan lain-lain. Mendidik masyarakat menjaga persekitaran bermula dengan pendidikan.
Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah, who is also the Pandan MP, also urged local communities to be more responsible and to work together in taking care of the environment through gotong royong activities. She reminded people not to wait until something bad happens to a family member before acting.
The Education Ministry is taking proactive measures to address the issue of abandoned teachers' quarters across the country. Currently, 32% of the quarters are vacant, where the majority are in poor condition and cannot be occupied.
Its Minister, Dr. Mazli Malik, said they are planning to repair the quarters and rent it out to the private sector or government agencies. Currently, the ministry has more than 50,000 quarters nationwide, with 33,000 plus units occupied, which is slightly more than 67%. Most of the units that are uninhabitable are in the rural areas. Dr. Mazli also said that his ministry is carrying out discussions with other ministries, agencies and state governments to lease the quarters. He was speaking to reporters after attending an event at Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan LKTP Buletin.
Perak Exco member Paul Yong has decided to take a leave of absence from his official duties amid the rape charges following a meet with Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Ahmad Faizal Azumu. He, however, will still continue to serve his constituents as the Tronoh Assemblyman. Despite that, he maintains his innocence and has called the allegation baseless, unfounded and a political conspiracy against him. Yong had previously refused to go on leave despite being advised to do so by the Menteri Besar, saying he wanted to continue serving the people. After coming under pressure to take leave since the rape investigation and after much consideration, he decided to go on leave to focus on the trial and to clear his name. Yong was charged on Friday with raping his former Indonesian maid last month. Currently, he is out on bail and will be back in court on September 24th for case management.
Meanwhile, DAP Secretary-General Lim Guan Eng said the party will issue an official statement soon regarding the position of Perak Exco member Paul Yong.
Pemimpin kebangsaan telah pun sampaikan pandangan kepada pemimpin negeri Perak dan saya percaya satu kenyataan akan dikeluarkan. So bolehkah kita tunggu kenyataan ini?
Lim, however, declined to reveal when the statement will be released.
The Public-Private Partnership PPP unit will carry out a detailed assessment of the project to transfer raw water from Sungai Perak to Pulau Pinang. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said the evaluation of the Sungai Perak raw water transfer scheme project in collaboration with the private and public sectors will be conducted through open tender proposals.
Projek ini adalah satu usaha kerjasama awam dan swasta yang akan melibatkan perbelanjaan lebih RM1 bilion. Ini sebagai satu permulaan, mungkin tambah lagi, tapi itu kita akan mulakan, itu penilaian dan kita harap dengan usaha kerjasama awam dan swasta bahagian UKAS ini, kita akan lihat mana-mana syarikat yang mempunyai idea-idea sedemikian.
The Pulau Pinang Perak water issue has been a long-standing one between the states, with Perak insisting on selling treated water and Pulau Pinang demanding for raw water. Lim said that PPP's recommendations are required to determine the best solution for the project. The Finance Minister also plans to meet with Perak Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Ahmad Faizal Azumu soon to formally discuss this issue, and he is confident that the state government is prepared to listen to the views and suggestions that have been recommended, as a transfer scheme would benefit both states. Meanwhile, Lim stressed that stern action will be taken against contractors found to have been ganging up to win government contracts.
Kalau ada kartel, tentu ia harus diambil tindakan kerana itu tidak diizinkan, kerana kita mahu itu persaingan yang adil. Tidak harus ada mana-mana itu konspirasi daripada pihak-pihak tertentu untuk tekankan harga supaya dapat memihakkan mereka. Ini bukan tekankan harga.
He said this in response to a news report which highlighted that at least 10 government projects are currently being probed for the matter. He urged the Domestic Trade and Consumers Affairs Ministry through the Malaysian Competition Commission, MyCC, to take action against such cartels. He added reports must be also lodged to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, as such tactics are a clear violation of the law. Berita Harian on Sunday reported that a probe was initiated by MyCC after it received information about the tactics employed by the conspiring companies. In the meantime, Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, is investigating claims that contractors found to have been ganging up to win government contracts. Its Chief Commissioner, Latifah Koya, however, refused to elaborate on the matter as it could jeopardise the investigations.
Mesti ada laporan. Banyak kes-kes yang berbentuk berkenaan perolehan tender dan sebagainya. Tapi we cannot inform you sehingga kita dapat lakukan tindakan tersebut. Kalau kita beritahu sebelum tu, orang yang kita nak target pun lari. So we cannot share that information.
In conjunction with the upcoming National Day celebrations, Pulau Bidong in Terengganu has become a favourite spot for ardent divers to show their spirit of patriotism. 120 scuba divers took part in the Bidong Merdeka Dive 2019 programme to show their love for our country by hoisting the Jalur Gemilang in the seabed.
The programme was organised by the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia, Terengganu Office, MOTAC, with the collaboration of University of Malaysia Terengganu, UMT. Among the activities held were the conservation of the environment in the areas of Pulau Bidong with the theme Dive for Debris.
Kalau dengan pelancongan kita, Malaysia bersih dan indah. Okey, jadi kita rasakan peluang ini sangat baik untuk kita berterusan dan sebenarnya untuk kita menjayakan misi nasional kempen Visit Malaysia 2020.
The scuba divers were from MOTAC, UMT, the Malaysian Coral Foundation, YCM, Telekom Malaysia, Darul Iman Scuba Diving Club, Kat Limah Diving Team, as well as media representatives. They all took part in cleaning up the seabed, as well as in several strategic locations around the island.
Ini program yang sangat positif, even patriotic macam sekarang ni, semangat kemerdekaan. So kita ramai-ramai tu semua as a team. So you gain the knowledge and you learn so much.
Participants dived and hoisted the Jalur Gemilang in the coral plantation areas owned by YCM, which has 9 coral incubators.
Still to come on Nightline, 5 million ringgit worth of illicit cigarettes and alcohol seized. Stay tuned. Welcome back, still on Nightline. Police raids carried out in 2 operations in Kajang, Selangor and Sabah recently saw the seizure of illicit cigarettes and alcohol worth over 5 million ringgit. Acting on a tip-off, police were able to detain 7 local men in Kajang on August 21st, who are believed to be part of a local cigarette smuggling syndicate.
The suspects' arrest, who are aged between 39 and 61, led to the seizure of more than 28,000 cartons of white cigarettes and krete of various brands worth 4.3 million ringgit. Also seized were 4 lorries and 3 cars worth 235,000 ringgit, making the total seizure 4.6 million ringgit. The syndicate was believed to have been active in the Klang Valley. All suspects have been remanded until August 27th to help with investigations. Meanwhile, at another raid carried out in Kampung Pinawantai, Matungong, Sabah, on August 20th, Marine Police seized 590 packages of white cigarettes with 696 cans of alcohol of various brands and also arrested 2 men aged 44 and 31 respectively. The seizure was made following checks on a suspicious vehicle in the village where goods with unpaid customs were found. Police also inspected a house in Kudat and found more than 8,000 white cigarettes and over 2,000 canned alcoholic drinks with 18,000 ringgit in cash. The total value of the seizure is 500,980 ringgit. In Pahang, police have detained 9 individuals aged between 15 and 26 in Op Samseng Jalanan near the East Coast Expressway, LPT, Saturday night. The 2 a.m. operation saw the Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Unit, along with the LPT patrol team, detaining the 9 after they were found to be involved in illegal racing and performing dangerous acts on the highway. 8 of them will be investigated under Section 42 (1) of the Road Transport Act 1987, while a 15-year-old teenager who was nabbed for using a false plate number will be investigated under Section 108 (3F) of the Road Transport Act 1987. A Grab driver suffered injuries on his left leg after he was attacked by a machete-wielding man in a robbery near a sundry shop at Selat Selatan, Kuala Lumpur, last Thursday. According to authorities, the incident occurred when the victim, 22-year-old Jairam, was approached by the suspect at 7:45 p.m. while he was waiting for his mother, who was buying groceries. He was then asked to hand over his money and valuables before he was attacked with a helmet and a machete. The suspect made off with Jairam's wallet containing 70 ringgit and his motorcycle key. The case is being investigated under Section 394 of the Penal Code.
The grand finals of the International 2019 came down to the 2 previous winners of the tournament. 2018 winners, Team OG, were up against 2017's champions, Team Liquid, in a grueling best-of-5 to win the series. It took 4 games to crown OG as the champions, who became the first ever team to win the tournament 2 years in a row. Wanezul Islam has the story.
After a dominant performance from OG, the team take home more than $15 million in prize money and will have their names inscribed on the Aegis Trophy and Dota 2 history. Before OG claimed the Aegis, no player had ever won the tournament twice. With their back-to-back victories at TI8 and TI9, the 5-man team became the first to form the club of multiple TI winners. OG were the kings of the upper bracket, muscling their way through some of the best teams, including Newbie, Evil Geniuses, and PSG LGD. The grand finals came down to highly aggressive tempos with a wonderful team effort from OG, who displayed a fast-paced, team-fighting oriented style. Alright, so now we've got a special treat. We have a professional Dota 2 player, Koo Chong Sin, also known as Ohio. He will be talking to us a little bit about the game that we just witnessed. So, Ohio, tell us, what did you think of the tournament so far?
Well, the tournament was really great. OG showed us a lot of great game. They are one of the best team in the world.
Really, I mean, 2 times world champions, 2 in a row, TI8, TI9. I mean, that's a huge thing to accomplish. What do you say about that?
I feel like they are one of the best teams because they have a lot of synergy. They know how to win a game, together as a friend, as a best team, because they have a good knowledge in the game and they trust each other in the game. Even when I was watching in the stream, in the live, I was watching their face. They're so calm, they're so enjoying the game. That's why they won the game.
I think OG has done very well, and so did Liquid. I mean, they got the first game as well, but in the end, I think that Thompson did an amazing job. They were actually quite bad early stage during the first game, but Thompson really came back. And he conquered first and second game, and they finally secured the final game with Ana as IO, where they created a new meta for everyone to follow.
We have a back-to-back TI winner, which is the OG. Sap, Thompson, they did play on their playing field. They want the opponent to play. They want Liquid to play their game. And no-tail, execute everything perfectly for the team. They have a strategy coming in, and they did have fun. The most important part is they had fun, they enjoy it, and in the end, no-tail dedicated the whole TI tour to Sap himself.
After the massive success of TI9 and the record-breaking $34 million prize pool, the bar has been set incredibly high for the upcoming year of Dota 2. The International 2020 will be the 10th edition of the biggest esports tournament in the world. It will take place in Stockholm, Sweden. Wanezul Islam for Nightline's esports segment, TV3.
Up next, in a first, Hong Kong police use water cannons to deter protesters. Details next. Welcome back. We move on to the foreign front. A Muslim man who was left in a coma after being interrogated at a notorious Thai detention centre has died on Sunday as pressure mounts on the army to release further findings of a probe into the case. Abdullah Esau Musor, a suspected rebel from the country's restive south, died more than a month after he was taken to the Inkayut military camp. The army could not immediately be reached for comments, but previously said Abdullah's severe brain swelling could have been due to an aneurysm or suffocation. Inkayut is the Thai Army's biggest detention centre in the south, where suspects are taken for interrogation and held under emergency laws, where rights groups have documented torture. The treatment of 34-year-old Abdullah, who was unconscious when he was transferred to a hospital hours after arriving at the camp, cast a rare spotlight on clashes in the region and could be linked to a deadly raid and separate bombings in Bangkok. His family, however, says he was not involved with the insurgents who launched bloody attacks in a fight for more autonomy in the country. Hundreds of new fires are raging in the Amazon rainforest in northern Brazil amid growing international pressure on President Jair Bolsonaro to put out the worst blazes in years. Official figures show 78,383 forest fires were recorded in Brazil so far this year, the highest number of any year since 2013. According to the National Institute for Space Research, more than half of the fires are in the Amazon, and some 1,663 new fires were ignited between Thursday and Friday. The new data came a day after Bolsonaro authorized the deployment of the military to fight the fires and crack down on criminal activities in the region. Experts say the clearing of land during the months-long dry season to make way for crops or grazing has accelerated the deforestation. The fires in the world's largest rainforest have triggered a global outcry and are dominating the G7 meeting in Biarritz in southern France. Hong Kong police have fired water cannons for the first time during the mass pro-democracy protests that have gripped the city for the last 3 months. Thousands of protesters on Sunday poured into the streets of the Tsuen Wan neighbourhood, where they clashed with police, who fired tear gas and eventually turned to 2 vehicles armed with water cannons to disperse the demonstrators who gathered despite steady rain. At least 1 petrol bomb was thrown by protesters, some of whom took off down narrow side streets where the water cannons, which had not been used in years of anti-government protests, could not follow. Some dug up bricks from the pavement and wheeled them away to use as ammunition. Others sprayed detergent on the road to make it slippery for the lines of police. The demonstration continued despite the arrest of 29 people after overnight clashes that saw authorities use tear gas to disperse the crowd. And that sports item wraps up Nightline.